People ask this question a lot. What made us special? What was the single spark that let a weird, upright ape take over an entire planet? It's a good question. It's maybe the most important question about us. And the easy answers are usually the first ones people grab. Our big brains, our intelligence. That has to be it, right? We're the smart ones. If we think, we solve problems, we built skyscrapers and wrote poetry, the chimpanzee did not. Case closed. But it's not that simple. Nature is never that simple. If a big brain was the only ticket to the top, then other animals should have been on a similar path. Or they should be now. And what about our own relatives, the Neanderthals? They were walking around Europe for hundreds of thousands of years. Their skulls show they had brains that were, on average, a little bigger than ours. They were not dumb brutes. They were strong, clever, and adapted to a harsh world. They had tools, they had fire, they hunted massive animals, and yet they're gone. We're here. So if it was just about brain size, the story might have gone a different way. A big brain is just hardware. It's potential. It's like having a powerful computer with no operating system. It has all this processing power, but it can't do much with it. What matters is the software, the program that runs on the hardware. And our software, it seems, was different, radically different. So if it's not just the brain, what about tools? We are the tool-making animal. That's another common answer. From the first sharpened stone to the microchips in our phones, we see the world as something to be shaped and used. And this is true. Our technology is what separates us from every other life form. But again, it's not the whole story. Other animals use tools. Crows can make complex tools out of wire to get food. Otters use rocks to crack open shells. Chimpanzees use sticks to fish for termites and stones to crack nuts. They're clever. They're resourceful. So tool use itself isn't unique to us. What's unique is what we do with our tools over time. A crow is a brilliant problem solver. But a crow doesn't learn how to make a better wire tool from its parents, and then its children improve on that design, and their children improve on it again. After 1,000 years, a crow is still making the same clever tool. For humans, that's not true. We started with a sharp rock, then someone attached that rock to a stick. That made a spear. Someone else figured out how to throw the spear with more force using another stick. And on it went. A hand axe became a spear, which became a bow and arrow, which became a rifle. This is called cumulative culture. We don't just learn, we build on what others learned before us. A lone chimp can learn to use a stick, but it takes a network of humans, passing knowledge through generations, to get from a rock to a rocket. Our tool use isn't the cause, it's a symptom of something else. Okay, so what about language? This feels closer. Language is our magic. It lets us do things no other animal can. We can talk about yesterday, we can plan for next year, we can talk about things that don't even exist. Justice, freedom, money. We can tell stories, we can lie, we can persuade. An animal can warn its friends about a lion that's right there. A human can tell you a story about a lion they saw last week, and what we should do to avoid it next time we go to the river. Our language is incredibly powerful, it's the code that runs our societies, but is it the root cause? Or is it like tools, another symptom, a consequence of something even deeper? Think about it. Why did we need such a complex form of communication? Other animals get by just fine with grunts, chirps, and gestures. They can signal danger, food, and the desire to mate. That covers most of survival. Why did we need to invent words for because, or if, or maybe? What were we trying to do that required such a high-fidelity information system? We were trying to coordinate in very, very complex ways. This brings us closer to the real answer. You know, it's not the brain alone, not the tools, not the language. It's the thing that made all of those things necessary and possible. The one trait that acts as the foundation for everything else, it's our ability to cooperate. That sounds anticlimactic, I know. It sounds simple, even boring. Ants cooperate. Bees cooperate. A pack of wolves cooperates to take down an elk. Cooperation is everywhere in nature. So what's so special about our kind? The difference is in the quality and scale of it. Our cooperation is not like an ant's. An ant cooperates based on instinct. It follows chemical trails and genetic programming. It doesn't have a choice. It's a tiny robot in a massive biological machine. A wolf cooperates with its pack, but it's mostly limited to close kin, and their goals are immediate and concrete. Hunt the elk, defend the territory. Their cooperation has a low ceiling. Human cooperation is different. It is flexible, massive, and based on a bizarre psychological trick. That trick is called shared intentionality. It's a technical term. But the idea is simple. Shared intentionality is the ability for you and me to hold the same goal in our minds at the same time. And I know that, I know we have the same goal. We create a shared mental space, a little bubble of a shared world. Let's break that down with a simple example. Imagine two chimpanzees trying to get a banana hanging from a high branch. One chimp might climb on the other's shoulders. They are technically cooperating. They are working together. But researchers who study this find that it's a very fragile kind of teamwork. It's more like each chimp is using the other as a tool. The chimp on the bottom might get bored and wander off, leaving the top chimp to fall. There's no shared commitment to the goal. Now imagine two humans trying to move a heavy sofa into a house. They have a shared goal, get the sofa through the door. One person says, okay, you lift your end on 3. 1, 2, 3. They lift together, they get to the doorway, the person in front says, I need to turn it, tilt your end down a bit. The person in the back does it. They are in constant communication, adjusting their actions based on their shared objective. They both understand the plan, they both know what the other person is trying to do and why. If one person suddenly needs to stop, they say, wait, and the other stops. There is a mutual understanding, a commitment, that is shared intentionality. This ability shows up in us when we are incredibly young. A 1-year-old baby will point at something it wants. The adult doesn't look at the baby's finger. The adult looks at what the baby is pointing at. The baby and the adult have created a tiny moment of shared attention. They are both thinking about the same thing, and they both know it. If you try this with an ape, the ape will most likely look at your finger. It doesn't grasp that you are trying to direct its attention to a shared object of interest. This small difference between looking at the finger and looking at the object is not small at all. It is a psychological Grand Canyon. It's the beginning of everything. This single trait, this ability to create a shared mental, is the operating system that runs human society. Let's go back and see how it powers all the other things we thought were the answer. Think about hunting. An early human was not a very impressive animal. We weren't the fastest. We weren't the strongest. We didn't have claws or fangs. A lone human in a world of saber-toothed cats and giant bears was just a meal. But a group of humans with a shared plan, that's the most dangerous thing the planet has ever seen. They could use their shared intentionality to hunt in ways no other animal could. It wasn't just a mad rush at a mammoth, it was a plan. You guys, the plan might go make a lot of noise over there and drive it towards the cliff. We'll wait here with spears. This requires trust, it requires communication. It requires every single hunter to hold the same multi-stage plan in their head. It requires them to understand their specific role within that plan. The casers and the spear throwers are not doing the same thing, but they are working towards the same goal. This level of coordinated action allowed us to take down animals much bigger and stronger than ourselves. It turned a collection of weak individuals into a superorganism. Now think about tools and that idea of cumulative culture. How is knowledge passed down? It's passed down through cooperation. A parent teaches a child how to knap a flint stone into a hand axe. This is not just imitation. The child isn't just mindlessly copying movements. The parent is actively teaching, showing the child what to do. The parent might guide the child's hand. They might say, no, hit it here at this angle. The child understands that the parent is trying to help them achieve the shared goal of making a good tool. This is a cooperative act of teaching and learning that is profoundly human. We are obsessed with sharing what we know. This allows us to preserve and build upon knowledge. The invention of the hand axe doesn't die with the inventor. It becomes public property for the group, and for all future generations. This is impossible without the underlying assumption that we can and should share our mental worlds. And what about language? Language makes perfect sense once you see it as a tool for enhancing cooperation. The need to coordinate on a complex hunt creates an evolutionary pressure for better communication. Simple grunts aren't enough. You need words for cliff and spear and wait and now. You need to be able to talk about things that aren't physically present. Tomorrow, we will hunt the bison that we saw by the river yesterday. That sentence is pure magic. It connects past, present, and future. It allows a group to create a shared plan based on shared memories. The language evolved to serve the need for better and better coordination. It allows us to fine-tune our shared intentions. And then it took on a life of its own. We used it to create shared fictions. Stories, myths, gods, laws. These fictions are the ultimate expression of shared intentionality. A nation is just a story that millions of people agree to believe in. Money is just a story we all agree has value. These stories allow us to cooperate on a massive scale, with millions of strangers we will never even meet. An ant colony has millions of individuals, but they are all sisters, genetically programmed to cooperate. A human city has millions of strangers from all over the world, cooperating because they share belief in things like traffic laws, currency, and government. This finally brings us back to the big brain. The social brain hypothesis suggests that our brains didn't get big to solve physics problems or to figure out how to make better stone tools. Our brains got big to deal with other humans. Living in a large, intensely cooperative group is incredibly demanding. You have to keep track of who is who is your friend, who is your rival, who owes you a favor, who is a reliable partner, who is a cheater. You have to be able to read their intentions. You have to manage your own reputation. You have to navigate a complex web of social politics. In short, you have to be a master of understanding other minds. The computational power needed for this social chess game is immense. So cooperation created the problem that the big brain evolved to solve. And as our brains got bigger and better at this, we could form even larger, more complex cooperative groups. It was a feedback loop. More cooperation demanded bigger brains, and bigger brains allowed for more cooperation. So the single trait is this deep, innate, almost pathological drive to share our mental states with others. To link our minds together. It's what a baby does when it points. It's what scientists do when they collaborate on a project. It's what an orchestra does when it plays a symphony. We are mind mergers. But this incredible gift has a dark side. A profound and terrifying dark side. The same ability that allows us to form a tightly knit cooperative is also what creates a them. Our evolutionary history was one of small groups competing with other small groups for resources. The groups that cooperated best internally were the ones that survived and passed on their genes. So natural selection favored both in-group cooperation and out-group competition. We are genetically predisposed to be incredibly good at drawing a line between our people and other people. The same psychology that fosters altruism, loyalty, and self-sacrifice for our own group can also foster suspicion, hatred, and violence towards other groups. Our greatest strength is also the source of our greatest weakness. It's the root of tribalism. It's the root of racism, of nationalism, of religious wars. Every genocide in human history was fueled by a story that dehumanized an outgroup that defined them as not us. The mechanisms that allow us to build a city are the exact same mechanisms that allow us to go to war with the city next door. It's all based on our ability to form a collective identity. This duality is the central tragedy and paradox of being human. We are the most cooperative species on the planet. We are also the most violent, at least towards our own kind. Wolves compete, but you don't see organized packs of wolves trying to systematically exterminate other packs. Chimpanzees can be brutal, but they don't wage organized campaigns of war. Only humans do this. Because only humans can organize themselves through shared stories and ideologies that define who is worthy of cooperation and who is not. So what does this mean for us today? We live in a world that our cooperative instincts were not designed for. We evolved in small groups of 150 people or so. We knew everyone. Our brains are built to handle that scale. Now we live in a globalized society of nearly 8 billion people. We are connected to strangers on the other side of the planet, and we are facing problems that require cooperation on a global scale. Climate change, pandemics, nuclear proliferation, these are not problems that one tribe can solve by competing against another. These problems threaten every single one of us. They require the us to be everyone. The challenge we face is whether we can stretch our Stone Age psychology to meet the demands of a 21st century world. Can we extend our instinct for cooperation beyond our immediate tribe? Can we build a shared identity that is big enough to include all of humanity? The evidence so far is mixed. We see flashes of it, international scientific collaborations, global humanitarian aid. The internet has connected us in ways that were once unimaginable, allowing for new forms of massive shared projects. But we also see our tribal instincts flaring up everywhere, the rise of nationalism, political polarization, the spread of misinformation that pits group against group. It seems we are in a constant tug-of-war with our own nature. The single trait that allowed us to dominate the planet was our ability to unite and work together. To see the world through each other's eyes, to create a we. It gave us the power to build civilizations, to create art of breathtaking beauty, and to unravel the secrets of the universe. But it also gave us the power for organized destruction on a scale no other animal can comprehend. It was not our brains, our hands, or our voices. It was our obsession with sharing what was in our brains, using our hands in common purpose, and giving voice to a shared plan. This deep need to connect and combine our minds is the secret of our success. And the final test of that success will be whether we can learn to share our world with everyone before our instinct to define an enemy leads us to destroy it. The thing that made us is also the thing that could unmake us. It's all the same trait. The choice is ours.